Peace. Welcome to Hip Hop Album Review Part 28. Before I start, I'm gonna do a disclaimer. I know a lot of you guys, some of you guys been posting comments on my other videos. And don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm not. It's just that for some reason YouTube is not letting me reply to the comments. But I did find a way to reply back. So go check on the other reviews to see, check my responses. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm not. But you know how YouTube sometimes be acting up. But enough of that. Let's start with that first song for today. Is Dr. Dre's Presents the Aftermath, released in 1996. You guys should know who Dr. Dre is. I'm not gonna get to his whole his autobiography, but this song was released in '96. This is when he left Death Row Records, and you know the story with that. The constant threats and the lavish gifts and stuff like that. And this is Dr. Dre's answer to say, hey, I'm independent. I don't need Death Row I don't need Death Row. I could do this by myself. Things of that nature. People think this is his second album. It's not. It's a compilation album. At first I thought it was a second album, but it's not. It's just like you have other people. MCs rapping over his beats, you know what I mean? Even though he doesn't produce all of the albums, but he's the executive producer of the album. So with that, you get to foresee the production, things of that nature. I thought it was a pretty solid album, very slept on in my opinion, because even though it was certified platinum, but a lot of the Dr. Dre fans, was kind of like iffy about it, because I guess because they were so used to him being in Death Row. But they only came out with 2 singles, East Coast West Coast Killers, which they have videos for, and Been There Done That, with which is Dr. Dre's solo song. Pretty solid album. To me, some of his best beats on this album, in my opinion. Again, I'm a fan of Dr. Dre, but from the 90s. I'm not a fan of his stuff that he did in 2000. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. But this is Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath, released in 1996. Definitely a must-have in your collection. If you're a fan of Dr. Dre, you're a fan of mid-90s West Coast hip-hop like I am, definitely a must-have in your collection. Then we got Just Ice, his third album, The Desolate One, released in 1989. Just Ice is the MC from Fort Greene, Brooklyn. He got his start back in the mid 80s, 85 to 86. I would say. He got his. He's definitely considered one of the first gangster rappers. Not Ice-T. A lot of people think it's Ice-T. No, he's one of the first gangster rappers, as well as Schoolie D, who's another underrated Philly MC, who, in my opinion, doesn't really get a lot of recognition. But back to Just Ice, he put out his first album, Back to the Old School, back in 1986. And in 1987, he put out the year I was born, Kool and Deadly. But in 1987, excuse me. But in 1987, he was going through a murder investigation that they were saying that he killed somebody. He killed a drug dealer back in 1987. He was going through a murder investigation. He probably got away with murder. You know what I mean? So it was just crazy. And then 2 years later, he released this album, Desolate One. I don't think there's no singles off this album. I think this album just came unannounced. You know what I mean? It was released under I think Sleeping Bag. Yeah, Fresh Records / Sleeping Bag Records. If you're a fan of early Boogie Down Productions, I'm talking about Criminally Minded and what's his second album? Criminally Minded, and I should know this, but whatever. Yeah, Criminally Minded and I forgot. when I'm done with this, it'll come back to me. I should know that, but shame on me on that. But whatever. Um, if you're a fan of early Boogie Down Productions, you would definitely enjoy this album, especially with the the reggae. Matter of fact, he was the first person to actually do that. Cause KRS One, he does like the reggae influenced lyrics into his raps and stuff like that. Well, Just Ice was doing that first, and that's where KRS One got his style from, pretty much with the reggae ish. You know what I mean? I believe the production was done by KRS One himself, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Just Ice and KRS One. This album didn't really get a lot of people kind of panned it because people were like so used to the stuff that he did with Mantronics, you know what I mean? But I thought it was a dope album. If you're a fan of Just Ice, like I said, if you're a fan of early Boogie Down Productions, you would definitely enjoy this album. This is Just Ice, the Desolate One, released in 1989. This album was actually out of print, so good luck finding it. Then we got MC Eiht with his debut album, We Come Strapped, released in 1994, excuse me. For those who don't know what MC Eiht is, he's an MC from Compton, California. He got to start back in the mid to the late 80s, 1987. He was under the group, he was the lead rapper of the group Compton's Most Wanted, who I think are one of the illest West Coast gangster rap groups to come out of the West Coast, in my opinion. Very slept on, in my opinion, as well. You got to start with them. They put out a couple of albums. I think the last album they put out was with I thought it was Music to Drive By, but they put out a couple other albums with that, with throughout the 90s and the 2000s and whatnot. Fast forward to 1994, you have this album. He was in the movie Don't Be a Menace. He played as AWACS in Menace to Society. Excuse me, not Don't Be Menace to Society. Dope movie, by the way. As well as and then in 1994 he put this album out. Dope album. Very dark beats. The beats are very dark and it's very gritty. The thing about this album too, the singles. Let me go to the singles. It only has 2 singles. All for the Money and G's Make the Hood Go Round. Which they both have videos for. I'll post down a link in the description box. The thing with this album, during this time, DJ Quick and MC Eiht had a little beef going on. And they was going through that, beef and stuff like that. I believe in the MC. I feel like I believe in the Menace to Society soundtrack. DJ Quick made he had a song in that album dissing MC Eiht, and he also dissed Everlast from House of Pain as well. And then MC Eiht responded with the song Death Wish Part 3, and he goes in on DJ Quick, excuse me. And they squashed their beef, thank God, But this is definitely a solid album. If you're a fan of MC Eiht, you're a fan of mid-90s hip-hop, West Coast hip-hop, just hip-hop in general, you will definitely enjoy this album. This is MC Eiht, We Come Strapped, released in 1994. Definitely a must-album. I feel like MC is definitely one. He's very underrated. MC/producer, but he makes his own beats as well. Then you got AZ's Doe Or Die, released in 1995. I already did a review on AZ's AWOL album that came out in 2005. AZ, you guys should know who he is. I did a brief discography, biography on his on AZ, whatnot. Pretty solid album. It's a classic, hip hop classic in everybody's eyes. I feel like AZ is very underrated as an MC. He doesn't really get the recognition that he deserves. But the singles I was known for, Sugar Hill, Give Me Yours, the remix, Doe Or Die, and More Money, More Homicide. Dope album, dope singles actually. If you guys are a fan of Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, and Nas It Was Written, and Only Built for Cuban Links. You will definitely enjoy this album. I feel like this album is in the same vein as those 3 albums that I mentioned. You know, definitely must copy if you're a fan of like mafioso hip hop, because you know, especially in the mid 90s, like I would say like from like 1995 all the way up to like 1997, there was a period where a lot of East Coast MCs, as well as like hip hop in general, it was going through that mafioso phase throughout those 3 years that I mentioned, you know. So if you're a fan of that type of hip hop, you will definitely enjoy this album. AZ Doe Or Die, released in 1995. Oh, and as well, in 2010, he released the 15th anniversary to this album, but it was like more of a remix album, like where you had producers redoing the beats, you know, like just just putting like new beats towards like the songs and stuff like that, and he's just like remaking the songs and things of that nature. So I thought that was a heads up for those, you know, that wanted to know. It's AZ Doe Or Die, released 1995. We got the next album, Ruff Ryders in the Are We Trust, released in 2001, Volume 2, Ruff Ryders Volume 3, in Are We Trust. Nothing to it. If you guys are a fan of Ruff Ryders, you will definitely enjoy this album. The singles this album was known for Eastside Riders, Dirty, You, Me, and She, which was Eve Solo, and They Ain't Ready with Jadakiss and Bubba Sparks. Really, that was like the only official single, like the only single that this album had. Even though those other ones were singles, but they were like more underground singles and stuff like that. This album was pretty dope. And this album is interesting because in the last track, Ruff Ryders All-Star Freestyle, dope track by the way. You hear Cassidy for the first time on wax, you know what I mean? You see his first appearance on this album. If you're a fan of Ruff Ryders, you'll definitely enjoy this album. In my opinion, this was like the last good album they put out together, because Ruff Ryders Volume 4, Redemption, I was not a big fan of that. I was kind of disappointed, and it was due to some of the because they added new members of Ruff Ryders after that, and the production was it wasn't really up to par compared to the first 3 albums. But this is Ruff Ryders and Always Trust, released in 2001. I believe this album was actually out of print, so go look find it. If you're a fan of early Ruff Ryders like I am, you will definitely enjoy this album. Ruff Ryders and Always Trust. Then we got The Roots, Do You Want More, released in 1995. This is actually their second album, not their first. This is their second album, and I'll get to it. The Roots, they're hip hop / neo soul band from Philly. They got their start back in 1987, that's when they first started. You know, they met each other through high school, and in 1993, they put out an album called Organics, which came out in 93. That album was only accessible throughout Europe, because when they was doing touring in Europe, they was making an album while they was touring, and it was only sold throughout Europe. And I believe in 1998 they released the album, but even then that album's hard to come by. It's very hard to come by. But you can get it on Amazon, so it shouldn't be that expensive. Fast forward to 1995, we have this album, Do You Want More? Singles, he only came out with 3 singles, Distortion to Static, Proceed, and Silent Treatment. Pretty solid album. If you're a fan of The Roots, like I am, you will definitely enjoy this album. This is The Roots, Do You Want More, released in 1985. Then we got LL Skreatch Creep Wit Me, released in 1984. LL Skreatch they're a hip hop group from Brooklyn, from East New York. They're from Cypress Hills, if I'm not mistaken, which is a suburb of East New York. You know, they got this start in the early 90s. I think in 92 or 93. This is a dope album. Definitely, if you're a fan of R&B from the 90s and you mixed that with hip hop, you would definitely enjoy this album. The beats are some of the illest beats I've ever heard, like in a long time. The beats are provided by LG Experience, or LG for short. LG is Easy Mo B's little brother. So if you're a fan of Easy Mo B, you will definitely enjoy this album because LG is like, they have like the same style, but LG's beats are like a little bit more darker, a little bit more, you know, more R&B-ish, but he also does like R&B, hip-hop tracks as well. But his style is more dark and stuff like that. The singles that I was known for, it only has 3 singles. Were My Homies, which was like a big hit back in '94. I remember that, hearing that on radio. I remember Hot 97 used to play the shit out of that song. I'll Take Her, which was like a dope, which was like their most breakthrough single. It was with Brian McKnight, and the last single was Chill With That, which was like the least commercial single, but it was a dope track. Overall, definitely a must-have in your collection if you're a fan of mid-90s hip-hop. Unfortunately, this album was actually out of print, so if you find this in stores, don't be hesitant to pick up. It shouldn't be that expensive, you know what I mean? And they came out with an album called Keep It Moving in 1997, which I do have in my collection. I will do a review on that, but that album is actually out of print as well, and it wasn't as successful as this album. I kind of feel like this album is very slept on. Doesn't really get a lot of recognition. I believe it's due to the record label that was under, Mercury Records. It was due to lack of good, poor promotion and poor marketing. That's just my opinion. And Al Skreatch says it as well. You know, he blames it on that too. But this is Ill Al Skreatch Creep Wit Me, released in 1994. Dope album, must have in your collection. Then we got Kool Rap's second solo album, Roots of Evil, released in 1998. You guys should know who Kool Rap is. If you don't know, check his go on Wikipedia and check it out. I did a review on his 456 album, which I highly praised. Definitely a dope album. Roots of Evil. By this time, like he relocated to Arizona. By this time, he developed a record label called Ill Street / Download Records. It was short-lived because this was like the only album that the record label put out, which was Kool Rap's record label. The singles I was known for is Foul Catch, which was like an underground single, and there was another, Can't Stop the Shine with Miss Jones. Yes, the same Miss Jones. That's a radio personality on Hot 97. Pretty solid album, pretty dark. It's a dark album. I kind of feel like this album is very underrated, very slept on. What's interesting about this album is that you hear a young Papoose and Jinx Juvie. Papoose, this, and Jinx Juvie as well, this is their first appearance on Wax, and both of them had released 12-inch singles on the underground single. Papoose, he released Dub Connection as well as Alphabetical Slaughter. People think that he came out with that song back in 2005 when he came out with the Smack DVD. It's not. He came out with that song back in 1998. But it was a different beat, you know what I mean? I'll post the links for those songs and as well as the video for this album as well. Definitely, this is Kool Rap's most underrated album in my opinion. A lot of people praise Kool Rap for 456 and the Giancana album, Giancana Stories. but I kind of feel like people sleep on this album. This is Roots of Evil, released in 1998. This album is actually out of print, so good luck finding this album. Next album is Ice-T's. I feel like this is his third album. This is released in 1989. This is the Iceberg, Freedom of Speech. Just watch what you say. He went through a lot of controversy with this album. This album, he was known for his, his cursing and stuff like that. Because at that time, especially in the late 90s, especially in the 80s, a lot of the, gangster rappers was going through a lot of flack because of their cursing and stuff like that. Stuff that's laughable now, but back then that was a big deal. Dope album cover, by the way. The singles is album it only came out 2 singles. Lethal Weapon and You Played Yourself. I kind of feel like this is definitely one of his best albums in my opinion. My favorite albums from Ice-T are this album, OG, The Original Gangster, and Home Invasion. I did a review on Home Invasion, and I do have a copy of OG, The Original Gangster, which I will do a review on. Definitely a dope album. To me, this is definitely one of Ice-T's most darkest and most gritty album in his whole catalog. This album is different from his first 2 albums because he kind of went more political. He talks about corrupt politicians, police brutality. He talks a little bit about the about the 5% Nation and things of that nature. He talks about Public Enemy, how Public Enemy at the time, they was going through a lot of flack because of the the black empowerment. He talked about how he has Chuck D's back and things of that nature. But this is Ice-T, the Iceberg, Freedom of Speech, Just Watch What You Say, released in 1989. Definitely a must-have in your collection if you're a fan of Ice-T, you're a fan of 80s gangster rap. This album is actually out of print, so go look find it. And the last album is Heltah Skeltah's second album, Magnum Force, released in 1988. I already did a review on their first album, Nocturnal. So I did a review. So if you guys don't know who they are, go on Wikipedia, check their biography. I already did a review, and I did the biography on a Nocturnal review. But anyways, this is 2 years after the Nocturnal album. This album's okay. It's not as strong, it's not as gritty as this first album, Nocturnal. This album has a little bit more filler, a lot more filler if you ask me. But that's not to say, it definitely has some bangers. I feel like this is an underrated album. It doesn't really get a lot of recognition that it deserves. If you're a fan of, Heltah Skeltah, you're a fan of late 90s hip hop, if you want to like fill your boot camp click discography, this is definitely a must-have in your collection. The singles this album is known for are I Ain't Having That, which is like the only video single that it has. Worldwide, The Rock the World, Brownsville to Long Beach, and Guns and Ones, which has Method Man on it. The Brownsville, those songs that I mentioned, like Worldwide, Brownsville, and Guns and Ones, those were more underground singles. But I Ain't Having That was like the only one that had a video, and uses the same sample as Tribe Called Quest's Hot Sex and Butter, that song. This is definitely a dope album. If you're a fan of Heltah Skeltah, like I said, very underrated in my opinion. What's interesting about this album, it comes with it's more of a sampler, which is introducing new artists at the time, like artists like Illinois, the Representatives, things of that nature. It comes with 5 songs, definitely dope. Dope sleepers. This is Heltah Skeltah, Magnum Force, released in 1998. This album was actually out of print, so go look finding it. If you see this in stores or you go on Amazon, don't be hesitant to pick it up. Like I said, if you wanna fill up your boot camp quick discography, definitely must have in your collection. Unfortunately, after this album, it wasn't successful. They broke up after this album. Rockness Monster, for those that know him as Rockness Monster, he was kind of having problems with Duck Down Records, and then he left Duck Down Records, and he got signed to DJ Lethal Records, the same DJ Lethal who was part of House of Pain, and he was supposed to come out with an album called Planet Rock around like 99, 2000, but the label folded and the album got shelved, so he never put it out. And then fast forward to 2008, they came out with an album called DRT, Dirt. Dope album. I don't have that in my collection. I will cop it. When I do, I will pick it up and I'll do a review on that. And they regrouped. They got back together in 2005 when Sean Price came on the album Monkey Bars, and he came on the album too, Rock. So this is Magnum Force, and that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. Peace.